Huh? All right.
What was that
That was a
noise?
very
What was that noise?
that was some sort of moan.
That was just my aching old body letting out a call of distress.
You've
Yo, my
just
wife worked on my
been
back 2 days ago. I'm like laying on the floor and she had her elbow, I shit you not, like right like on my butt because apparently that's where a lot of the tension was. And dude, it was painful. But when she was done, I felt like she shaved fucking 10 years off my back. It was ridiculous.
Damn.
Do you find yourself clutching your butt quite often? Is that what's going on?
Bet you wish
All
you
his
could clutch my butt.
all his stress is up in his ass.
It's gotta go somewhere.
Oh
All
man.
Uh,
right. Well, on that note, welcome to another episode of Not Quite High Score.
the podcast where we three cousins discuss the world of video games for the benefit of Deep's brother slash girlfriend. And if you're wondering if that's the same person, I am happy to announce that there will be a NQHS Direct coming soon. Please be excited.
You know what? Let
We
me just
will
kill off
reveal
the
details
suspense.
very
They're
soon.
two very
No,
different people.
why do you gotta? Wow, man.
You're
You know
welcome.
nothing about nothing about business. Do you know how hard I've been trying to increase engagement with this shit?
It's
Using
three.
terms like engagement.
It's three brown guys talking about video games. We didn't have much hope to start. Let's be honest.
I have a higher chance of being stopped at the airport than I do of having this fucking thing go anywhere.
Random security check.
Random my ass. I told you guys last time I was headed to Miami. The guy looks at me as I'm walking into the U.S. portion of the airport. I don't know what that line was for, but he looks at me and literally just aggressively, he's like, "Come here." And then he asked me to open up my bag. I takes a look and he's like, "All right, cool, you're good to go. You can skip the line." And I was like, "This was convenient racism."
Oh, you
Ay,
didn't get the
ay,
pat
ay.
down?
Apparently, Manny
man.
gets the pat down all the time.
At this
I'm
point, I'm
surprised you
just
don't get the
like,
pat down all the time with that juicy ass of yours. Know what I'm saying?
At this,
surprisingly, I haven't had that happen to me in a while. But
Hmm.
it was to a point where I was like, I was gonna like moan and whenever they start touching different parts of me, just to like make it awkward for them.
I'm sure you would. Yeah, definitely. That'll help the situation, and it will
Mhm.
actually get you out of that faster. You should absolutely, when a TSA or just American agent in these turbulent socioeconomic times is fucking fondling your balls trying to find a nuclear device, you should moan. There was a direct today, and we need to talk about that because there was a
Yeah,
lot of
no,
shit
it's if
announced.
you're a Nintendo fan, it is a great time to be alive.
And if you're someone that that doesn't have a lot of disposable income, it's a not so great time to be alive.
Oh my god! Did you
Yeah,
guys want to jump in there, or did you guys want to? Has anyone been playing anything new lately, or?
I personally don't have anything new that I've been playing. I'm kind of just like cycling through my current backlog in preparations for Expedition 33. And then if not that, I've been like playing Lorcana, which I think you guys, I've already mentioned to you guys what it is. It's like a think of Magic the Gathering meets Disney trading card game. And then I've been
Hmm.
like really obsessed with that, more so recently. But what about you guys?
I've been playing Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii.
Yeah, you mentioned that last time, right?
I've only put a
So,
couple hours into it, but honestly, so far so good. I mean, it's a Yakuza game, so immediately, Like a Dragon game is what they're called now. But I mean, it's it's got the weirdness for sure. On it's I mean, if you look, it's a fucking pirate game. Like
What a weird fucking title
they've
for a
pivoted
game.
so hard. They've pivoted so hard into it, and it's just, and you're playing as Majima now, and he's always been a bit of a kooky character, and now he has amnesia, and he just wakes up, and this kid kind of saves him from some people, and then he's like, yeah, you know what? Cool, I'm gonna be a pirate, and I'm gonna go and do bounties and have ship battles, and kick the crap out of people on the streets of Honolulu.
I know we
It's
talked about this in the past, but this doesn't sound like a real game. This sounds like a
it
completely
just
made up
sounds like a.
fever dream of a game.
Yeah,
it
I was just
doesn't.
about to say.
But I mean, that's kind of the best part, right? Because on one hand, it's like super serious because he doesn't have his memory and he's trying to remember who he is. And, there's this kid companion with you this time. And the kid's basically only lived on this small island all of his life, and now he wants to kind of leave the island because his dad always kept him there because he was sick. But now he's like, Dad, no, I can do this, and I want to see the world, and I don't want to be trapped here. And there's like that emotional story on that end. And then, on the opposite side, it's less like you running around Hawaii and you're just beating up all sorts of people and slashing and practically murdering, really, because there's definitely some moves where you just straight like snap a dude's neck, But I mean, I don't want to go too into it because I want to get more into the direct. But if you're a fan of the Like a Dragon games and if you enjoyed more the previous style, which was the beat 'em up versus what they've turned into now, the turn-based RPGs, I mean, 100% you're gonna like it. It's a brawler, right? So it's like a modern day Streets of Rage, and the fights are a lot more fast-paced than previous Yakuza games. So you have two styles of fighting: Sea Dog, which is like you turn into a pirate and you have your two sabers and you're doing all sorts of crazy shit, or Mad Dog, which is just you have Majima's trademark dagger and then you're just doing moves with that. But yeah, very, very fast fight style, very, very hectic, crazy characters, insane moments that make no sense, but then also heavily emotional moments and everything in between. Beautiful looking game. Hawaii
You're
is a
telling me this
fantastic
game
map.
has emotional moments, and it's just it
It,
doesn't
it
seem like that
does
game.
though. I
Is
mean, look,
it?
I just
So,
just to give you a quick example of, let's say, the first of the previous Like a Dragon that also took place in Hawaii, Infinite Wealth. There's one mission where you just basically walk up to like a food truck and there's this old man there. I told you about this last time, and he's buying a snow cone and then he throws it up in the air and it's just kind of like falling and then he's all disappointed and he starts to cry and then all of this and then the snow truck guy's like, fuck, you did that again. Don't come back. I'm not giving you this just because you keep throwing it away. And fast forward, it just turns out that his wife is in bed dying, and her last wish was to see the snow again. So he's trying to find a way to make it snow in Hawaii. And then in the end, you meet some other characters and yada, yada, yada. You know what? No, no, no. One of the characters you meet that actually ends up helping you help him help his wife see snow for the last time before she passes away is this mafia Yakuza guy that has a fetish for dressing up as a baby and being treated like a baby by women. So he's always running around town in
I remember
diapers,
this.
and so is the rest of his crew. So they're all dressed like big babies. And he talks like goo goo gaga, and he loves to just lay there and have the woman change his diaper and act like a baby because that's what gets him off. And then
I
once you complete that quest and he becomes your buddy, he becomes a summon. So then you're in battle and then you're like, oh shit, I need help. You pull out your cell phone, you dial up this guy, and this fucking 60-year-old giant Yakuza old man dressed in a diaper shows up and he goes wah 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 and he just beats the shit out of everybody on the battlefield.
I just have this mental image of you like crying while you're playing this game, and there's just like this 60-year-old man in diapers on the screen, and your wife just walks by.
I mean,
And she's like, "This
luckily
is
she
a regular
doesn't.
Tuesday."
Like, oh, you playing another like a dragon game? Yes, honey. But
Uh,
no, I mean, look, these games are, they're known for this kind of thing, right? They're crazy, they're kooky, they're serious, they're everything. They're great games.
well,
If
they don't
you,
take themselves seriously, but
yeah, and
at
you
the
don't
same
have to have
time,
played the previous ones for this either. So if you're
yeah.
worried about the story of the past like 12 games or, the previous like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, don't worry about it. Yes, there's callbacks to the story, but you're not going to be that lost. You don't need to have played it or anything. You can just pick this game up, start playing it, platinum it in like 40, 50 hours. You're good to go.
Well, the game that I'm playing is nothing like Yakuza. So, I mean, you guys probably know
It's
I've been playing.
Yakuza adjacent in a
It involves
sense.
Yeah.
Japanese people.
Well, yeah. So I've been playing Assassin's Creed Shadows. 20 hours in, what stands out to me is if you're a fan of the series, you're going to love this game. I don't think that this is the kind of game that is going to bring in skeptics in. I could be wrong, but the vibe that I really get is that if you've been a fan of the series, so I know like Taz has played all of these Assassin's Creed games. If you loved Odyssey, Origins, you're going to love Shadows. If anything, you're probably going to love Shadows the most of those games. And for me, one of my favorite things about the game is the setting itself. Like I know that we've been asking for feudal Japan for over a decade. We finally get it, and I do think that it was worth the wait. graphically, the game looks gorgeous. Like the villages are super lively. You have, dense bamboo forests, and you can really get lost in forests. And I've been using the Pathfinder so much just to know what path I need to take for to go from one place to another. That's how dense the game is. One of the things that I thought was just aesthetics was the seasonal change. So this game actually brings, winter. It basically brings all the seasons, and there's also a weather effect. So you'll be battling a bunch of enemies, and then you're gonna have like a thunderstorm that's gonna happen at the same time. Initially, I thought it was just aesthetics, but actually, seasonal change can actually affect the gameplay of the game, and that to me was very surprising. So in the summer, because the vegetation is so dense, it's easier for you to hide. What I heard, just because I haven't gone through the winter, is that actually winter during the snow, your movement is actually noisier, but also the lands where you're not able to access directly because there's a large body of water has now been frozen. So now you can actually access lands that were previously not, reachable. And right now I'm in autumn, and autumn is really cool because now the ground is covered with leaves. So when you're actually walking, you can actually hear a crunch noise, which makes it harder to do stealth. Like I actually think that was pretty neat because like I was doing a tower essentially, and nothing had changed in the way that I was approaching it with my character, using the stealth system. But I noticed that the enemy was able to detect me when he wasn't able to do it before, and then I realized that it's because of the crunch or something, like while I was walking, that probably alerted him. So that's pretty cool about the game. Um, yeah, so like the stealth system has been vastly improved. I find that the guards have a better like they actually have a better view, so you're not going to be able to like just kind of murder someone and then the guard is like 2 meters away and he has like no idea, like he'll be alerted. So I think that the guards definitely have a better awareness. And lighting, obviously the game is called Shadows, so you can actually lighting plays a big part. So there's lanterns all around, you can turn them off, and when you turn them off it creates a shadow. And so you don't even need to be hiding under something, you just need to make sure that you're in the shadow and the guard won't be able to see you. So like that actually adds like another element to the gameplay. So I love everything that they've done and everything that they've added to the stealth system.
So I have a
And
question
I
regarding
also, yeah,
the
what's up?
seasons. How does it cycle through it? Is it like based with the story, or can you kind of like choose that before a mission? How does that work?
So I know that you can change seasons as you wish. I haven't been able to do it so far. So I think there's something that's maybe tied with like the gameplay and maybe the character that you play.
Okay.
But I do think that it's also limited to where you are in the story. So I'm the type of person where I like, especially with Assassin's Creed, like I'll start doing the side missions and I'll level up my character so much that I'm gonna go to like the main mission and I'm gonna be like, well, this is easy. So the seasonal change itself, I've just kind of noticed it randomly. So if I use, let's say, one of the, like one of the, it's not a checkpoint. It's like like a to fast forward from one place to another. What's that called again?
Has travel?
Yeah, fast travel. So like I remember like fast traveling from like one place, and all of a sudden the season had changed.
Right.
So I don't know if it's time based. I haven't been able to like determine how that system works yet, but yeah, like I mean, I actually also like the fact that you play as two characters. So just very quickly, you play as a character called Yasuke, who's more in the samurai class. So just brute. He's heavy, very slow, can't climb as effectively as the shinobi character that you play, whose name is Naoe. And yeah, Naoe is like super badass. She's a pretty funny character as well, and I actually like the fact that they don't call them assassins in the game, so they actually call them shinobi. So it's cool that like Ubisoft is actually using like, let's say, historical, like real historical facts to kind of integrate that with the game. So yeah, like so far the only criticism I have is like the story. I find is the slow burn right now. I'm 20 hours into the game and it's very slow to get going. um
Well,
I
sorry, I
feel
just
like
wanted to
after
ask
20.
one thing about the characters. So clearly, one's more focused around stealth, while the other one's more brute kind of centric.
Yeah.
But wouldn't, if you had the option of changing seasons, wouldn't you be able to kind of pick one season over the other that kind of favors that? As you said, like if it's fall or autumn and the leaves are making crunching noises, and if you're playing as Naue, you wouldn't want to select that season at all, right?
Yeah, I mean, like it's not. I just wanted to, just specify the seasonal change is not like a big thing where it's not like because it's autumn you can't do any more stealth. It's just that it's a little bit harder.
Okay.
So you have to be a bit more careful. You have to use like the lanterns. You have to maybe use the shadows more rather than, like if you're kind of hiding in a bush, like maybe don't hide in a bush, like
Right.
in the autumn. Also, when you play as Yasuke, who's more of the, like I said, the samurai, there is no stealth. You're basically you know that you're going in with your katana and your bow and arrow, and you're just destroying and you're beating the crap out of enemies, and there's no stealth in there. Of course, he has you can still assassinate with him, but they're more like aggressive assassination, and he just basically runs into the enemy and assassinates the enemy.
Okay.
So yeah, like I mean, like, and I also those characters you can play as Yasuke, but some story elements do require you to switch assassins, and then you have to play as Naue. So
Okay.
it's not like, oh, I don't want to play as Naue because I just want to kind of run through enemies. You can't do that. So you do have to play both protagonists. There are some stories that are only for Naue. There's some stories that are for Yasuke. Without going into it, they do come together because of something. And
Do you find one character is a bit more, like one character's playstyle is a bit more forgiving compared to the other, or are they kind of like both well balanced?
they're both well balanced. I actually like the fact that it's been well thought out. Like I feel like even their abilities are really well thought out. You can now actually have allies, so you can call on allies that you've, kind of made friends with along the way to help you in battle.
Mm-hmm.
So I do find that, for example, Naue, because she's not as strong as Yasuke, I do use the allies a lot more. So I use allies that are a bit more brute, and that kind of to kind of help me out because sometimes I mess up, and because as Naue I strictly use stealth, but sometimes an enemy is going to catch me, and I mess up, and then I have to like I'm surrounded by like 4 or 5 enemies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the game, I'm really playing it in the like normal mode. Like I didn't switch it to easy mode, and I know, and this is what I appreciate about these games is that with Assassin's Creed Shadows is it doesn't handhold me. So I really have to explore a lot. I have to investigate. I have to like send out scouts to be able to find someone. Like sometimes they'll give you is they're like, oh, this person's in Tokyo, and they're like in the southwestern part, and then you basically have to find them yourself, or you can send out scouts to do it. So, but you can also play the game, not easier, but it's like the game will actually tell you, okay, the person's there, so just go there.
Okay.
But then you don't get to unlock all the achievements. It even tells you that if you play the game this way, you won't be able to unlock some specific achievements. But I like the fact that like developers give you the chance to play the game as you want it. Like if you want to play handholdy, it's there. If you want to explore a bit more, it's there as well.
Do you like playing as Yasuke?
Yeah, I do actually. Yasuke. Okay, so the thing is, I did play as Naue a lot more, but that's also because, like I said, like I was doing the side missions more. I was doing like the viewpoints and whatnot. But the moment that I switched to Yasuke, I was like, oh crap! Like you really feel like a really powerful character, and like he's there and he's kicking ass, and he's got like so many abilities that work, and his introduction is actually so badass because Yasuke is he's black. And so what in feudal Japan, I don't know if you guys know, but like, and they do it in Shogun as well, but the Portuguese, they have like a big part.
Hold on. Why'd you laugh? Why'd you laugh at that?
Nothing. That's like, man, the internet made that very clear. Don't worry.
Yeah, well, okay, so here's the thing. Like my assumption, okay, so the Portuguese are here in Japan, and they want to obviously spread themselves in the land, and they want to bring Christianity and whatnot to feudal Japan. But so you
As
have
the
these two
Christians do.
exactly, and so you have these two Portuguese guys, and then they have a black man with them. So your assumption is that, yeah, like he's their slave, right? And then so you have this Japanese emperor that's like, okay, well, you can continue doing what you want, but I want him. I want this guy, right? Because he saw something in him. He saw a fighter in him. And then obviously Yasuke learns about like the ways of like becoming a samurai and everything like that. So so the reason why I mentioned that is, again, like his root is, yes, he's a black person. So it's really cool because one of my favorite moments in the game, I really was not expecting this. He's like basically kind of barging into this tower, and you have Japanese music that's playing. So it's like Japanese rock music that's playing, but then you have like African chants that are playing in the background too. And I would never have thought that African chants mixed with like Japanese and like rock music mixed together would work so beautifully. But it's such a badass moment because like the game looks so gorgeous at that moment too. It's like set in nighttime. There's like thunder going on, and he's like beating the crap out of everyone. He's dismembering people, chopping heads off, and everything. That was like the perfect introduction to that character, and I was like, oh shit! Like now I want to play more of Yasuke. So like Ubisoft did a really great job at having like a perfect contrast between both characters, but also making you want to play as both characters. Like I equally enjoy playing as Naoe and Yasuke.
I mean, that's also interesting considering like the kind of the controversies with that game leading up to its release and how like what was it like? Apparently, there was more of a focus on Yasuke, and then they had to like shift kind of like the main story, and the fact that it did so well, considering it was like a relatively last minute too. Kudos to them.
I just look. I'm not a Ubisoft defender. I'm not like, and you guys know you know how we talk about them. I just feel like a lot of people just wanted this game to fail. But at the end of the day, the game has like sold like what is it, like there was like 3 million active users or something like that. Like all that to say is that the game has already did so much better than the previous Assassin's Creed games, right? So like I said, it's not gonna reinvent the wheel. They did add new things to the stealth element that does make the game fresh, in my opinion. I don't know the whole Abstergo thing. Like, I mean, I haven't even had like a little inkling of Abstergo being in this game. How did the assassins fit in this game? It's there, like the hidden blade is there. I'm not that far into the story. And I know that back in the days, like it wasn't the assassins like order anymore. They used to be called like the hidden ones or something like that. So there's all of that going on, but not too far into the game to be able to say much more about the assassins and the Templars and whatnot. I think even Ubisoft doesn't really care about that anymore.
I think they're having a hard time tying it in after like they.
Yeah, well, it's been a mess. But honestly, like I said, like I'm super like I'm really enjoying this game. Like the mix of play styles, the stealth, the environment. The game looks amazing. It looks gorgeous. Sure, it has bugs here and there, like the typical Assassin's Creed game, but nothing game breaking. But yeah, it's super super fun. And I know Taz, like you'll eventually play it, and I think you'll definitely have a lot of fun. And we spoke about playing Origins for over 80 hours. Like this is the kind of game that you're probably gonna put 80 hours in as well.
Slightly off topic, but it's like if you guys enjoyed this kind of setting of Japan, less assassins, but more like political drama. Shogun, the show, highly recommend it. Phenomenal from start to finish. I think we've all seen it here as well.
Yeah, no, it definitely gives me Shogun vibes. Yeah, like again, it's nothing different. Like I said, they don't reinvent the wheel. So I think a lot of the story beats also come from Shogun as well. Like with the
because
Portuguese,
like the Shogun, they have to deal with the Portuguese and the Spanish and kind of like the some inner political issues with the feudal lords.
No, for sure. But yeah, great game, and like I'm super happy that been able to play it, and 20 hours in, I'm like, oh my god, like I might even crack 100 hours, honestly.
All right, so switching gears, we've had 2 Nintendo Switch Directs in the last 2 weeks. We're primarily going to be focused on the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, which happened just today. But we will be mentioning later on the first Direct, which was focused on Nintendo Switch titles, one titles. And so I guess we can just kind of list off some of the things that they announced, and we can like give our opinions as we go. Maybe we should talk about the big elephant in the room with this. Just like kind of address it right off the bat. People are not happy with the price of the console and the games. So the Switch 2 was announced. First of all, it's going to be released June 5th of this year. It's priced at, I don't remember the US price. Is it 450 US?
449.
449 US, 629 Canadian.
449 for just the console, or I think 499 if you want it with Mario Kart World.
Yes, which is a digital copy of the game. And then
I didn't know that. Well, yeah, I guess I should have known, but
And then
Whatever.
for Canadians, it's $6.29 just a console, or $6.99 with the Mario Kart bundle. And then there's some other controversy with some of the games, because one of the games that they announced was the Mario Kart World, and that's been said it's going to cost $80 US. Which, guys, how do we feel about this?
it's a bit
I mean,
mind-boggling to me.
yeah, it sucks. It is a high price, but look at, and I'm not defending this, but it's also nothing new. Look at Capcom's pricing for their games these days on Steam, at least for Canada. Minimum you're paying is like $92, and that's before taxes.
And we've also
And
had
then
what's that Atlas game?
Metaphor.
Metaphor, which was like $90, $100.
Yeah, like this is what these companies are charging now, and to the credit of the games industry, I guess, as a whole, we haven't seen like a significant increase in price in, let's say, what, 20 years.
Yeah, 2010 was the last time there was an average increase from $60 to $70 US, but now we're kind of seeing that another $10 increase in games.
So, it was bound to come, and I mean, these, we all know these games are getting more and more expensive to produce, right? So at the end of the day, they gotta make that money back, and if it's not in number of copies sold, then it's gotta at least be with the price and with the year that we've had up, so far with all of the layoffs happening. If studios are not making their money and they're laying people off, then maybe this is a way to go. I mean, if this is, if
But
this
is
is
it
what it is,
really? But is it really? Because if you think about it, Mario Kart, and Manny can correct me, if I'm wrong, has been in the top 10, games, sold for the last how many months? Like how many
ever,
years? Yeah.
pretty
So
much
like,
since it came out on the
is it
Switch.
really a question of them making their money back? Like the question that I actually asked
Oh, don't get
myself
it wrong. For
was,
Nintendo, it's not a matter of making their money back. This is just what they're going to charge. They know people are going to pay it.
Well, so we don't.
And
I
okay,
mean, it's
so
kind of hard to make that comparison because we don't know the finer details about how much it cost them versus. Like, I'm not. By the way, caveat. It's not a caveat. Sorry, small note. I'm not trying to defend Nintendo blindly. I feel like we don't know enough of the details, so we don't know if the $80 price tag is to justify the cost of production as well. Because the other game that they had announced, which was Donkey Kong Bananza, which will be a separate conversation, that was priced at $70 US. So it's not like across the board all Switch 2 titles are going to be $80. I think there's still going to be that variation.
okay, so that's all fair points, and on the other hand, like, I don't think like the purpose is like for us to like blast, like the price and whatnot. Because if you look, okay, if you break it down, the hardware upgrade, right? Like, is it worth it? So you're going from like a 6 and something inch screen to like a 7.9 1080p LCD screen,
Yes.
not OLED, 120 hertz refresh rate. The Joy-Con controllers are larger, more ergonomic. I'm pretty sure like they probably cost more than the original Joy-Cons. And the internal storage, right? So they're going from, what was it, 32 gigs of storage to 256 gigs of
Yes.
storage, right?
well, let's not pretend like that's
Like
a cost
these
factor.
features, sure, but like these features, not. But that's what I'm saying. Like these features might be nice and everything, but do they really contribute to the higher price? Like, to me, it's like when I think of Nintendo, right? Like I think of a company that prioritizes game variety over hardware specs. Like, and to me, like when I look at those specs, and if I look at the fact that like you can get, it's getting close to a PS5 and Xbox Series X in terms of pricing.
Okay,
Like that to
I
me
love
is,
this. I love this discussion that we're kind of having in a roundabout way, because when the Switch was announced, people shat on it so much. No one complained about the price because it was what, $400, $450 when it was released, but people
Canadian?
shat on it. I think it was like 400, 450. Yeah, people shat on it nonstop because of the hardware limitations. And now
Yeah,
we
but
have
at this point,
now we have something that's kind of like is maybe up to more standards compared to like other handhelds, like the Steam Deck, for instance, or the Asus ROG Ally. But now, if it's justified in the price, people are mad about that.
But that's not what. But that's the thing is that's not justifying the price, right? If you look at if you're saying that the Switch One was so inexpensive relatively when it came out,
Yeah.
I mean the first thing that comes to my mind is it's the times and the way that they were, right? Inflation hadn't hit that fucking hard. It was 2017. It was pre-pandemic. The economy was arguably in a better state. But the other important thing, don't overlook, is that they were trying to recover from the Wii U, right? So obviously you're not going to price
Yeah.
it at some insane price because then you need to give people incentive to trust you and go and you need to buy this console. And one of the big factors is price. They needed people to buy this console. They needed to recover. The reputation needed to recover from what the Wii U had done to it. So that was a big factor there. In this case, the price can be justified. I wouldn't say that the hardware justifies it. I'm not shitting on the hardware. Frankly, I don't really care too much about the hardware. I'm glad that they're going the route that they're going in terms of, it's clear that a lot of these, high-end third-party games are going to function. They have things that I would have never expected, like, 4K 60 for Metroid, all that stuff. So like I'm glad that it is good hardware, but that's not what's justifying the price. And frankly, you're not buying a Nintendo console at this point for the hardware anyways. You're buying it for the games that you know
Right.
that they're going to put out, right? So Metroid's going to be a banger. Mario Kart's going to be a banger. Donkey Kong, the next Mario, all of these
Mhm.
games and like Zelda, they're all going to be fucking bangers. But the thing now is yes, tariffs can obviously play a part into it with what's happening, right? Because we might discuss this afterwards, but there's that whole thing where they're releasing a Japan only, region locked Japanese language only console that translates to about, let's say, $300 American, which is significantly
American.
less than what the current price is. And then the other thing is, frankly, they can just charge this because they know people will pay that price, and that's
So
all.
it's also
That's
like
like the biggest thing.
I don't know,
You know
like
what I
I'm
mean?
comparing this to the Steam Deck because like that's kind of the closest thing I got to the Switch 2 in terms of performance. I think the Steam Deck might be slightly more powerful. We don't have the full
No, we're
details
not,
of,
but the
like
performance doesn't matter. That's not even the point. You can't
I'm talking
you
about like
can't play Mario
hardware
Kart
specific.
World,
I'm when you're comparing the hardware between the Switch 2 and the Steam Deck.
right?
Uh,
But what I'm saying, but this is more a discussion on the price and what justifies it, right?
yes, and
Mhm.
And
so
the hardware doesn't matter. In the end, it's really with Nintendo. It always has been, and it always will be the software. You can't play Mario Kart World on a Steam Deck
I
without
mean,
piracy.
yeah, no,
And
but like
so,
the argument that I'm trying to make is that for those who are complaining that it's overpriced, I don't think that's the case if you're looking at similar products on the market. So it's not a question of
maybe,
whether or not
but
the software justifies it. It's more of the argument that it's overpriced because Nintendo can and they're just doing it intentionally.
that is what they're doing.
It doesn't seem like that though.
But
Because if you compare
in
the
my view,
hard
that's kind of what it is. Because if we're comparing hardware, yeah, fine. Maybe it's comparable to a
Yeah.
Steam Deck, sure. But a
Yeah.
Steam Deck can do a hell of a lot more than a Switch will be able to do,
Yeah, but the
right?
Steam
A
Deck
Switch is
isn't
good for playing
priced
Switch
based
games.
off the software. It's primarily priced off the hardware.
But if you're saying the hardware is as good, then functionality has to come into play with what can you do with that hardware.
Right.
With a
But
Switch, you're
then
going to be
this
just playing Switch 2 games, which is great because that's obviously what you want it
yeah,
for.
but then
But
some of
with
the price that comes with the Switch 2 would be, for instance, the dock itself that allows you to do 4K gaming.
how much could that dock cost?
I don't know.
50, $60
No,
if you were to buy it
I think it's a
as
bit more how they're selling separately.
The interesting thing is, look, we can afford the Switch 2. I don't think the question is about like
you can afford
in
the
my
Switch 2 maybe.
in my in my opinion. No, but like, look, I mean, genuinely, like the question that I was asking myself is, okay, it's not about can I afford the Switch 2. If you look at Nintendo and their track record, right? Like they have always had a user base that they basically will try to focus on, and those are families, right? Everyone always says that the Nintendo consoles are family centric consoles. So the question that I have for you guys is, with this price point, which is about 629 Canadian dollars, is Nintendo leaving families behind? And the reason why I ask that is that I don't know if there are many families that are going to be buying a console, let alone games that are going to be costing close to 100 Canadian dollars for their kids. And the question is that, do you guys find that this is not going to alienate their target audience? And here's the thing: is this going to sell like hotcakes? Yes, it's going to sell like hotcakes. Is it going to be sustainable? Is it going to be as sustainable as the Switch? That's another question.
I mean, look,
But
it's
for
it's
you guys,
weird on
do you
one
guys
end.
feel like this is like a necessary evolution for Nintendo? Or do you think that like it might come to the detriment of leaving families behind?
Because like the
I think
conversation
you're
about
looking at that
games is
wrong.
one thing, just because it seems like the video game industry is making that shift towards like the $80 price tag, the $90 price tag, just because it's not, as Taz mentioned, it's not sustainable in the long run for game developers, especially AAA game developers. The price of the console, probably not, because it's like almost as expensive as a PS5. And so,
Yeah,
and
but
for a lot of,
let's not pretend like it's only families buying this console, man.
no, it's not.
I mean, in the end, it's people like us. It is the older crowd. It's everyone right now that already has a Switch will very likely be buying the Switch too. Let's face it, this console is going to sell like mad. But more than anything, it's
It
also
is.
all the people that have grown up with Nintendo over the last like whatever 35 plus years, right? So it's also the nostalgia factor. You're aiming it at that older crowd that they grew up with Nintendo and now they have jobs, they have disposable income, they can spend it, they're going to be buying this console. Yes, fine, families might be a little priced out, but in the end, I think it's not that big of a deal or that big of a factor when you look at the fact that the Switch 1 came out in 2017 and it is now 2025 and that thing is still going strong and they're still releasing titles for it and they still had a direct for that console and there's still software slated to come out for that. So if you're looking at investment over time, then yeah, you find 629 I think is ridiculous for the console, but do I think I'll get my money's worth? I think so because with all the software that's going to come out, if you look at all the quality of everything on the Switch 1, I do believe they're going to deliver with all of this and more now with extra third-party support, especially on the Switch 2. Because, I mean, let's face it, it's not like you're going to only be buying first-party titles on the Switch. There's all the third-party companies. There's constantly sales for third-party things. There's deals to be had on the eShop. Nintendo's titles are always going to cost $80, $90, whatever that price is, let's face it. And that's just unfortunately the way that it is. You want to play Mario Kart? You know what? It's a game that you can play for years and years on end. It has a very vibrant online community. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe came out when the Switch came out, pretty much, and that game is still topping the charts. There's still people playing it. So, to pay $80 for a game like that, where you're going to be playing it for as that long to come, and it's not full of microtransactions or anything, for some people that might actually just be worth it.
But it's like, so that's the thing. So I think there's a bit of a disagreement just between us where it's like you guys think Nintendo's intentionally pricing it. I disagree on that. But then it's
I don't
like,
think it's intentional to screw us over or to
right.
make the maximum amount of money, but I definitely think that they know that they can increase it. So there's definitely an increase there just because they know that they can.
But
So it's probably a middle ground within all of our
yeah.
arguments.
But
Yeah,
so
exactly.
like stutter. I'm starting to stutter. So where the issue is that like
Hey,
it's
Junior.
great that we have such a big support for third party games, but that comes at the cost of needing better hardware for it. So it's like,
Which you now have.
which we now have, which we're
Mhm.
paying for, which is now why people are mad. But then people are happy that there's third party support. But it's like,
I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think my whole thing is this price sucks,
it
but
does.
I still think it's worth it.
And it does beg the question of how much is influenced by the tariffs.
I mean,
If
there's
you're
got to
basing it on the
be.
price in Japan, like to me, it's crazy that there's a $150 discrepancy between both SKUs.
Well, so the multilingual version in Japan is priced around the same as the US version. I think maybe like a $50 difference at most. But then where it's interesting, it's a Japanese only model that they have is also tied to a Japanese Nintendo account, and the console is locked to Japanese as well, and they're offering it to Japanese like locals. But then it's a question of, well, is it because of like the whole situation going on around the world, like tariffs and inflation, or is it maybe have to do with their kind of economy, how it's being affected The yen
So
isn't
I
at a good
was
place, and so maybe it's like their kind of incentive to maybe give it at a
so
loss to their own, like the residents of Japan, so like they won't have to pay those egregious prices.
so I was listening to Game Breaking News earlier, which is Jeff Grubb's podcast from Giant Bomb, and he says that there is a very, very large portion of Switches in Japan that are essentially bought and then immediately taken out of the country to be sold in China.
Yeah, because they're tax free.
So it could be that this is their way of making sure that there is local stock for the people that are going to be playing it in Japanese.
Yep. Don't get me wrong. I would love to pay $300, and honestly, if it was Japanese only, I would learn Japanese just to
I
play
mean,
it
hey
at that
man, you
price point.
were you were learning it, so this
Take it
is
back
your
on that.
excuse to pick it back up.
Yeah. But look, I mean, overall, I thought that the direct was, like I said, to me, not at this price point. But I am so happy for the people that are going to have only the Switch 2 as their main console, and that they'll finally be able to play Cyberpunk, Hitman. They'll be able to play like all of those great third-party games. And the fact that they even got a third-party game from Software that's exclusive to the Switch 2 is a huge, huge get. It's a huge win for them. So I can disagree with the price and not be okay with it, but still say like they came out with a big win today because they got full support from third-party developers, and I think that's amazing news. And the lineup of games, and we can even include like the direct they had last week, but the lineup of games is looking really, really, really impressive, considering that there's no new mainline Zelda game, no new mainline Mario game, no Animal Crossing, none of that stuff. Considering that there's none of those games out, the lineup is still looking pretty impressive. So kudos
Well,
to
I mean,
Nintendo because
Metroid, Kirby.
Yeah,
There's like
Mario
some of these
Kart
are
World,
mainline, and we'll talk about those. But
yeah,
one of the from software game you mentioned, Duskblood, is actually really interesting because we all watched this together, and our initial reaction is this Bloodborne? Because to keep mentioning blood, there's one of
Yeah.
the characters that kind of dress similarly. And then it was someone had mentioned where it's like maybe because Sony has exclusivity rights to Bloodborne, they couldn't necessarily call this Bloodborne, so it's called Duskblood instead. Um,
Yeah, use the word blood.
yeah. But so, anyways, so what's interesting about this game is it's a PvP game. So it's kind of you're thrown into this world, kind of think of like Night Rain, where it's like you're fighting enemies, but then eventually also leads to a battle royale type of mode where you can be fighting other players. And it's so interesting seeing From Software kind of step away from their traditional games, because even Night Rain is a more of a PvE focused game in a battle royale setting, but less PvP in that one. Would you guys give this game a try?
Probably not. I'm not really a FromSoft guy, so
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm happy for everyone that loves those games, but I looked at this and I was like, yo, I'm happy for my FromSoft boys, but I I don't need this. It's fine. But let me ask you guys this now. We'll discuss more of the direct, obviously, but now that we've gone over the price and then having knowing everything that you guys do know deep, are you gonna pre-order the Switch 2?
Of course he is. He's
It's
pre-ordering
the
two of
obvious
them.
answer. I'm gonna pre-order it. It's gonna be a day one. I'm kind of happy since you mentioned pre-orders. The one thing I do want to mention is that to kind of fight off scalpers, Nintendo has created this kind of incentive to pre-order with them directly on their My Nintendo store. So this is open to US and Canadian residents. And so if you meet a certain criteria, like as if, for example, if you have over like 50 hours of gaming on your account, if you've been a Switch Online member for at least 12 months and like some other criteria, you get to have special access to pre-order, which I think it's really
No, but
great.
it's not a guaranteed pre-order. It's just
I
you'll
thought it
be
was.
considered. No, it's not guaranteed. You'll be.
Sorry, you
considered
sign up and then you'll be given a 72-hour window to pre-order. And it's
if you
not
get the
just a
invite.
sorry?
If you get the invite.
Yes, but so apparently how it works, everyone gets, you sign up, and so they're gonna go through the list of criteria, and whoever like kind of meets that, they get invited first in batches, and eventually they're gonna go down to people that have less and less of those criteria. And so
Well, either
once
way,
once
I'm
you
glad they're
receive an
doing
email, you have
something.
72 hours to pre-order it. But it's not just a console; you can actually choose as one of each of the accessories if you want as well.
Definitely learn from Sony because I think Sony did the same thing with the PS5. Like you were able to pre-order it directly from their website because we know how messy that was with scalpers. So, and we know that with the Switch 2, it's not going to be any different. I think that Best Buy, it's or Amazon or whatever, you're going to have a bunch of scalpers just kind of going in using bots and just kind of buying a crap ton of them and then
Well,
selling them at double the price.
Jaspinder,
would you guys pre-order
are
it?
are you pre-ordering a Jaspinder?
No, I am not pre-ordering it. And I'll explain why. Is because I know that if I were to buy this day 1 or day 100, I just don't think that I have the time. Like right now, I have a list of Switch 1 games that I still need to play, and I have a laundry list of, games on PC that I like to play. Like I told you guys that I wanted to play Baldur's Gate 3, haven't even had the time, right? Like, and that game is going to be like an easy 80 hours. So it's like it doesn't matter for me if I get it on June 5th because I know that I won't be able to play it as much, But I do think that it's more like if we get together or if I have a bunch of friends over, then it's an incentive to buy it, and then it's tempting. But I don't think that it's a day one for me. Maybe
What
I'll
about
wait
you?
for the OLED version.
What about you, Taz?
I look at it and I'm like, I wish I needed it. I
There you
definitely,
go.
I do want to play. I definitely want to play Mario Kart,
Yes.
and I definitely want to play Donkey Kong.
Dude, I really want to play Donkey Kong.
But that aside, I just, it's kind of like Jazz. I barely have time to play the games that I'm currently playing. If I was to play Mario Kart, for the most part, I would want to play like online with you guys. And it's not like these days now with the kid and everything. It's not like I'm always available to just simply hop on and play Mario Kart or whatever other online game. So, you know, if it
There's
was cheaper, I might consider it more, but at this price, I'm like,
Yeah,
I just spent 3 grand on a PC last year. Like, I'm not gonna,
same. If it was 500
maybe.
Canadian dollars, I'd buy it day one.
But I mean, who knows? I might just be like, well, YOLO and buy it anyways, because I'm a weak-willed little bitch like that. But
there's a,
looking at it
there
I
now,
is
mean,
I'm
it's
just
it's
like,
coming so close to my birthday too,
yeah.
guys. I don't know. I'm just saying.
There's a
you know
lot to love
what?
about the new Mario Kart game. It's just the way
It looks so good.
it's
The
so
new Mario
good.
Kart
It
looks
looks
It's
so
amazing.
fucking good, and I
the fact that
really
it's like
do.
Burnout Paradise, where it's like an open world kind of concept. They've added so many new characters, and just the online feature itself sounds it's just fun to roam around, play with friends, race around, and the reason I'm going to pick it up day one, it's not just because of Mario Kart, but it's also because of the fact that I can replay Breath of the Wild, but with the enhanced edition. And so I'm just going to make that little transition. But so one of the things that they announced during the presentation was that certain Switch 1 titles are going to receive free updates to Switch 2. So they're going to have like improved replayability, as they're calling it, so like better performance. But then some of the games are going to have an enhanced edition, an enhanced upgrade available for you to buy, where you can buy the game itself fully enhanced for the Switch 2. And so what that does is not just kind of brings it up on par with for Switch 2, but also adds certain features and updates. So one of the things that they did was for Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, the game runs a lot better, like a smooth 60 FPS. They're adding features that ties in directly with the Nintendo Switch app. And so things like there's an achievement system now. You can use, there's like a built-in map in the app itself that kind of ties with the game, so you can use to navigate certain you can find hidden things you would have otherwise missed, and they've actually added a lot more lore as well. So it's like you can, and so in the game at one point you walk into Hyrule Castle and you find Zelda's diary, and then you can kind of read what she was thinking or writing leading up to the events. But then they actually added more lore context to it, where it's like there's voice clips now that you can get with the app itself, and things like that. There's a lot of updates that kind of gives you a reason to go back and play that game. And I've been just itching to replay Breath of the Wild.
I mean, honestly, just being able to play it at 60 FPS is
Yes.
reason enough to go back and visit it, and hopefully that enhancement extends to other games that sorely need it, like Scarlet and Violet. for
Oh
example.
yeah.
So those
Which were
games are
just
also getting Scarlet Violet's, or two of the games are getting the free update. So if that can run without crashing, maybe I'll give that game another shot.
Which is crazy, right? Because then
the
you know
bar
that
is low.
it's a second life for all of those games. It's even more sales,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, you know, in the end, Nintendo's never going to drop the price of their games. You're still going to be paying full price, just regardless of how long that game has been out.
And are you gonna buy the upgrade, or are you gonna buy the enhanced edition? Like, are you really gonna spend the full price rather than just paying the $30?
Oh, you know the answer to this, Jess. Come on, man. But we do want to hear
So
him
I'm gonna
say it. So yeah, go
buy.
ahead.
I'm gonna, I'm gonna buy both the Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild enhanced edition, but keep them sealed, and then buy the upgrade for my open copy
Oh,
of Breath of the Wild.
What the hell? So you're gonna pay $6.99 before tax for the console, and then you're gonna buy
629.
a physical. No, because it's gonna get it with Mario Kart. Or do you want
Oh
the
yeah,
physical Mario Kart copy?
No, no, not physical.
Oh, not that. Okay.
dude,
Yeah,
that's
that's
But
that's
paying
that'd be
okay,
too
so
much.
hold on.
attention.
So $6.99 for the console.
Yeah.
$80 at least, right? For Tears of the Kingdom, $80 at least for Breath of the Wild, and then the upgrades, which I'm guessing are gonna be probably like $30
I'm just gonna buy it for Breath of the Wild, the upgrade,
until
because I
you
don't.
realize you gotta have it also for the other one, and then you
No.
buy it there too. But that's so much money in one
That's a
day,
lot of money,
dude.
dude. Plus
Why do
tax.
you think I keep putting off upgrading my PC? The shit like this keeps happening. I mean, I only have myself to blame, but here we are.
Are you also buying the new Pro controller?
No, I want to. It looks good.
But the C button, man, like, don't you want to see all your friends playing at like 10 frames per
My
second at the bottom
God,
of your
that
screen?
was okay. So I'm happy you bring that up. So we finally know what the C button does on the controller, and it's kind of like if Discord was integrated into the Switch. So you can now be on a call, and you can also share gameplay footage with your friends.
So everyone else can see the gameplay of your game at the same FPS that Pokemon ran at.
So, so it's a Nintendo Switch presentation. Already, the presentation wasn't. It had its own technical issues, right? With the
Mm-hmm.
entire thing being out of sync and then it crashing basically at one point. But then during the presentation, they were showing up what the C button does and how you can share gameplay. The thing, like the gameplay that you see for your friends, is running like and we're being generous here, at 10 frames per second.
No,
And
I'd say it was like a 50. I would say it was like 15 frames per second.
It was pretty
And
bad. Like, it looked
granted,
unfinished.
if they're show, well, no, I think if you're streaming that many gameplay streams at once on top of you uploading your own stream, like I'm sure they're smart enough to make that intentional so it doesn't just wreck your internet connection. But I don't know, necessary feature. I mean, I don't
I
know.
was just about to say, I'm like, if that's the case, is it necessary?
wouldn't it be better if they just limited the stream per like call or something? Because that way it's not taking too much of your
I mean,
bandwidth.
honestly, I'm not interested in using it at all, but I love that it exists. I think
Yeah.
it's cool that Nintendo is doing all this stuff, right? Because when the Switch was announced and everyone was told, oh, but if you want to use voice chat, you got to download the Switch app. Everyone was like, well, why the hell would I do that? I can just go ahead and download Discord and use, that the way I've been doing for years.
Yeah.
And now they go ahead and do this. And I mean, they really, the execution might not necessarily be there, and even the use cases might not be there for a lot of people. But I think the fact that they went ahead and they did it, that says something about Nintendo
Yeah.
and their whole sort of new, their new outlook on online, right? So maybe this means we're also getting a kick-ass new eShop. Maybe we're finally, and they may have mentioned this during the direct before I had to leave and get back to work, but maybe they also are getting rid of friend codes finally. We can have a normal fucking system like, usernames or online handles or whatever, right? So
Oh man, I think that's wishful thinking considering you're kind of just migrating over from the Switch one.
I mean, maybe, but if you knowing everything you know about Nintendo and being on the Switch One, if I was to tell you, oh, hey man, the Switch Two is gonna have this thing where a camera captures you and it green screens out, your body over your gameplay, and you can see the gameplay of like four other people at the same time, and you all share what you're playing, and you're all voice chatting together natively on the console without any extra other downloads. Like, would you have believed me if I told you that?
No.
Like it's a cool thing they're doing. I don't know if I'll need it. I don't know if a lot of people are going to really use it in the way that Nintendo necessarily intends.
I can at the
But
very least see the use case of people using the chat feature, just like the voice call
the
feature.
chat, yeah. I mean, I think if anything, you'll probably press the C button by accident more than actually wanting to press the C button.
It does beg the question whether or not do you guys think they'll kind of follow suit with like Microsoft and Sony and then allow you to stream directly from your Switch to like Twitch or YouTube?
who knows? Honestly,
I could see it.
I can imagine them probably just coming up with their own a section in their own app, which is essentially streams. So you can stream directly to the Nintendo app, and then other people can tune into your stream if they want, like their own Twitch variant. But I don't know if they're ever going to necessarily integrate with Twitch
That
in
would
any
really not be a good
official
idea if they
sense.
did that.
Like using Nintendo Today or something like that
Yeah.
to like
Nintendo gonna Nintendo sometimes, right? I mean,
There you go.
kind of like what is it? They have that tech demo game coming out, right?
A
Where you just
welcome
walk
tour.
around. Yeah, you walk
They have to
around
pay for.
a Switch that you have to fucking pay for it. Like you have
I love
Oh
I
my
Astrobot,
love it.
God.
the
I'm sorry, yeah,
Astrobot that's free with a
Astrobot, yeah.
PS5, and that is just a full
It's a
ass.
full-fledged
It's a
game.
Wii Sports
full-fledged
was
video
free, and that was
game,
like the
and it
perfect
is
tech game.
so good. And then
Yeah.
here they're like, "Yo, play The Sims on a Joy-Con, so we can tell you what the fucking magnet does." And by the way, it's gonna cost you whatever it's gonna cost, But
I think that,
like,
yeah,
just
they're definitely fucking this up. Just like on the original Switch, 1-2 Switch should have been like a tech demonstration game to come out with the console instead
like
of
you just
having to pay a whole $60-$70 for it.
like who the hell looks at a welcome tour and is like, "Oh yeah, I want to pay money for this." This is just one of those free packing things. You're telling me Wii Sports was free back in the day, but I gotta pay for this fucking thing?
Oh man! But you know what you
They're
were
bleeding,
excited
man.
about? GameCube games finally coming to Virtual Console.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
I never
To
thought
be
they'd do
able to
that.
play.
I always thought that GameCube was a threshold that they would never cross, that they would always just remaster those games in some form and sell them for, $80 or whatever these days. But it is very, very cool that it's been added to the eShop
And I'm happy that I
or
finally get
the
to play Wind
Nintendo Online.
Waker. Yeah, like I've never played Wind Waker before. Like I never had a GameCube. So like I'm super excited to play Wind Waker now, to be able to play Metroid Prime.
But I
And
have to
Well,
wonder if
Metroid
this
Prime
also
isn't on the one of the GameCube games. Metroid Prime was
oh, I
remastered
thought,
for
I
the
thought I
Switch.
thought it showed. No, okay, so maybe I was mistaken. I could have sworn I saw the title games, but yeah, okay, well, yeah, just to be able to play Wind
I
Waker
mean,
is gonna be
just
super
give
nice.
us a fucking HD remake already. It's such a
it's
beam now.
probably sitting there somewhere. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
On the
Miyamoto's
shelf.
desk probably has like a drawer that just has the copy in it and there's dust on it. And every now and again he opens that drawer, stares at it, and he's just like, "Not yet, my pet." And he closes that
Yeah.
fucking drawer.
Because it's like
Were you
they've already
guys?
like brought so many of the other games from the Wii U
Yeah.
to the Switch. Why can't they just bring Twilight Princess and Wind Waker? Maybe this
They're
holiday,
waiting.
maybe, but fuck.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this was part of some collection or something that they'll be releasing around the time the Zelda movie's gonna come out.
Yeah. Were you guys
Gotta wait.
surprised at the final reveal, which was like a 3D Donkey Kong platformer? I was very surprised. Like when I first, I mean, I was like, oh yeah, maybe we're gonna get like a Mario, like a mainline Mario. But
It
when
looked like
Donkey Kong
Mario
came, I was
Odyssey at first.
pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering if you guys, you know, had a feeling like this was coming, or
I mean, I think
don't
everyone
know.
knew that a new Donkey Kong game was coming. I think with the popularity of the character in the Mario movie and the fact that he's getting his own movie, I mean, it was a no-brainer for them to make another
Mm.
Donkey Kong game. So, if was I expecting the game? Yes. Was I expecting it at this direct? No. And I'm glad they showed it. I'm glad it looks as good as it does. Honestly, I would really love to get my hands on this game and play it. I don't I think
It
I'll
is
get the chance because
surprising
I'm
that
not
is a
planning on getting a
launch.
Switch, but
Wait, it's not a launch title, but it's coming out
no,
this
it's
year.
coming out in
In July.
July.
So the month
Yeah.
after, close enough.
But I do remember that the transition from them going to 3D, and then at one point, like the camera switches back to 2D, and it just kind of sent me all the way back to like the 90s. Being able, playing Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2. So that was like super cool. So like to me, it seems that they are going to be kind of blending both elements of like the 3D and the 2D. So definitely looking forward to it. Maybe I'll come over, Manny, and play some Donkey Kong or something like
I'll
that.
probably
But
pick it up.
yeah.
there's a lot to love about this game. Honestly, the way it looks, it
Yeah.
just feels like it's going to give you the same energy and excitement that Odyssey did when that came out.
Mhm.
And there's a cool mechanic where it seems like you can really just destroy and hammer down the environment that you walk around in.
Yeah.
But did you guys know when
I
the last
mean,
time that we've had a 3D Donkey Kong game?
64 probably.
64? Yeah,
That's
been a
crazy.
while.
Yeah. And since we are kind of going down like listing, first party titles, what do you guys think about Kirby Air Riders? Because apparently Kirby Air Rider there was an original game came out in 2003. So this is not like, this is probably like it's a revival that fans are probably really excited about.
That's the one with that trailer where he's riding around on the star, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I for sure thought it was a Smash announcement. Just because there's been a lot of Smash trailers where it's like just Kirby
Yeah.
riding out on his star.
Hey man, if I want to ride anything, it's a wheelchair, and I want to play basketball doing it. You know what I mean?
No, I
In
didn't think that we were
true
going to mention
Nintendo
that game.
fashion, they announced the
uh,
most random game, and I love Taz's comment here, woke
this
Rocket
wasn't mine.
League.
This was someone online said it. It was
The
woke
Timu,
Rocket League.
the
I thought
Timu
that was
version. Oh, yeah.
hilarious. I
Oh yeah, it
mean,
was.
look,
Yeah.
man, I'm not trying to be insensitive to anyone in a wheelchair. Okay, don't get me wrong, but like, what the fuck is this game? It kind of gives me what was that game for PS5, that car game that came out that you were supposed to pay for it and ended up being free on PS Plus? Um, holy shit. Do you guys remember what I'm talking about?
No idea.
No.
Let me just type
What's your point?
PS5 PS Plus car game. Hold on, I gotta remember the name of this.
But yeah, it's true that
Um,
it is in very Nintendo fashion to be able
Yeah.
to do this.
I mean, I can understand it.
Destruction All Stars. Yes, yes, Destruction All Stars. In the sense that this game will come out and it'll just be forgotten. Like
Yeah.
it's
It's
I don't know, man.
I get that they wanted to show off what the mouse feature and the Joy-Cons could do because this entire
But
game is
someone
like
looked
centered
at
around
this
that.
and it was like, "Yo, you can use this as a mouse. Wait, hold on, two mice." And he looked at it and he was like, "Shit. Okay, hold on." And then wheelchair. Like,
Oh no. Ugh.
I
Yeah, that
mean,
was a
Yeah.
flop.
like,
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just
Cool,
wondering how many
I
tables
guess.
are going to get damaged as people are going to be playing this, or how many Joy-Cons are going to get damaged as people are playing this.
And they're going
I
to ignore it like the drift issue.
I mean, I'd be hesitant to use it on my coffee table because my coffee table is white, so I don't want to get like streaks on it. So I'm hoping that there's some sort of a coating or something, or that it works proper with a mouse pad that I'm sure Nintendo will sell for like $40, the official Nintendo Switch 2 fucking mouse pad.
It's gonna be a Zelda mouse pad, and man, he's gonna buy one.
Well, he's gonna buy two, one so he can not unseal it.
All right. So overall
Yeah.
thoughts on the.
Deep's camera just froze.
Oh, not on my end.
There you go.
All right. So overall thoughts on the direct.
Light on the first party, very heavy on the third party, very heavy on the price. But I mean, I think they're going in the right direction. I think they did what they should have done, which is just improve upon the Switch. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's exactly what they did, man. This is just a Switch roided up and with a whole lot of extra third-party support. So now I get to play all those games that everyone else gets to play on top of all the great first-party Nintendo stuff. And I think it'll hurt the wallet for a bit, but you'll find in the long run that it's worth it. I mean, Nintendo makes quality stuff that lasts. So
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Taz. I think for me, it was a necessary hardware upgrade. I think it was much needed. It was a long time coming for sure. And again, it's awesome to see the game lineup being this impressive. It's great that, again, Hades 2, Elden Ring, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, like you're getting so much third party support that this genuinely feels like, hey, I can have this as my only console and still be able to play the latest and greatest games, right? And on top of that, you get to have the Nintendo games. So yeah, I mean, I think overall, Nintendo should be fairly happy about their showing, minus the the glitches in here and there on the video. But yeah, I mean, am I gonna buy it? No, it's a little heavy on the price, but doesn't mean that just because I'm not gonna buy it that it's not a successful showing. So yeah,
I
that's
mean, I
my
think
opinion.
we all know it's going to sell out day
Yeah.
one. Like
Like
Yeah,
it's
hundred
just
percent.
same sentiment.
no one's
Maybe
doubting that at all.
maybe I don't feel the same way about the first party games just because we were going off the first direct like last week, and they kind of mentioned those games here as well, and how they're gonna kind of be upscaled for the two, and then a lot of third party support, and the fact that they like briefly went over Silk Song for like 5 seconds, but we have
Dude, that was like the most glossed over thing. Like
yeah,
it's
but the fact
2025 though.
2025, so,
4 second gameplay clip, and it's just oh yeah, by the way, 2025.
yeah.
It's probably
And
like
then-
rehashed gameplay too.
Even as a Zelda fan, it's a good like this was a good direct because it's like we also got to see Hyrule Warriors, Age of Imprisonment, which is canon apparently, which is tremendous because the other one, Age of Calamity, wasn't. So I'm happy.
Mm.
So
Wasn't Age of Calamity the past of that game? So like
no, so
It
this okay. Age of Calamity took place before the events of
Before-
Breath of the Wild, but then there was
Right.
like kind of like a timeline split because someone from the future comes back, intervenes, and creates a whole new timeline. And then Age of Imprisonment. Kind of, I'm not sure if you guys know much about Tears of the Kingdom. At one point, Zelda gets stuck in the past, and it's kind of what happened during that age. How they ended up sealing Ganondorf.
all right, cool.
Right. So the week before we had another Switch Direct. This one was primarily focused on Switch titles that are going to be kind of for the rest of the year. So we got to see some actual Metroid 4 gameplay. We got to see some Pokemon CA gameplay, as well as they had mentioned something called the Virtual Game Card, which I feel like you guys might be better suited to explain that if one of you guys wants to take a shot.
Kaz?
I mean, it's exactly that. It's a virtual game card. So you purchase a game. It's a virtual version, but it's separate from the rest of your digital games. So it's like in its own sort of library on the Switch. And basically you can lend it out to someone as you would lend out a physical game. So it's only done over a local network. So I can't lend it to someone over the internet. They have to be sort of on, I'm guessing, the same local connection. And you're basically, yeah, you're lending it out to them for a period of up to a maximum of 2 weeks. So then once it's lent out, you can't play it. They can play it. They don't need a connection online to play it. They have access to the full game online. After 2 weeks, they lose access. You regain it. I would imagine you can lend it out multiple times to the same person. But that's basically what it is in terms of functionality.
I could be
And,
wrong, but I thought that if you're a part of the same family, then you can lend it out to each other and you don't have to be on the same local.
I mean, I've only heard of it being done strictly on local networks. I could be wrong. I didn't look too much into this beyond the direct.
Because
so-
there was a different. I don't remember. It's been a while, but like they had differentiated between family sharing and then just like local friend sharing. So that's where I think that discrepancy could lie. But I'll just look it up afterwards.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
honestly, I think it's going to be a game changer. I think it's super awesome that, hey, if Manny's finished with a certain game and I don't need to, he doesn't need to like lend me his Switch or like his game card, right? Like I can just kind of play it for the 2 weeks and
Yeah, but you still
Yeah.
have to, if it is the way that I understand it, you have to be on the same local connection. But then I wonder if there's a way to like spoof that. You know what I mean? I wonder if you can use like a VPN to fool it into thinking you are on the same connection and then lend it out. Because
Maybe.
that would be a good workaround. But overall, I mean, again, it's one of those things that it's like I'm so used to getting just crumbs from Nintendo that for something like this, with even this functionality where it's only 2 weeks and it's not exactly a family share on the same level as Steam, I'm still okay with it because I'm just conditioned that way now with Nintendo where it's better than nothing. And this is
Okay.
actually good though. Like I'm not trying to shit on this, but
I
Okay,
yeah, sorry.
I should just
I just wanna
clarify.
oh, okay.
Oh, were you
I
gonna
was
do it?
going to clarify. Yeah, well, I was going to clarify. Yeah. So what it says on the website is that you need to connect your just connect to your family group member system via local wireless when you want to lend a game. So it's when you want to lend the game, and it also specifies that to move virtual game card between two systems, you must pair the system via local wireless and an internet connection, but only when pairing the systems for the first time. It doesn't say that like I need to remain on the same wireless to be able to play the game.
So
No, not to play the game, to lend it out.
to lend it
To
out,
play the
yeah.
game, you can go wherever and play.
So my confusion
Yeah.
was so because they had mentioned the family part, but then the other part where they showed is like if you have two switchers for whatever reason that has both of your Nintendo account linked to it, you can just transfer the games apparently. But then why can't you just download? Oh, whatever. Anyways,
No, so to clarify, to lend it to another person, the act of my virtual game card being now transferred to your console has to be done over local wireless. But then after that, you're free to go wherever you want, play it wherever you want, for up to 14 days.
Yes, and then you won't have access to it if you're the one lending it out for 2 weeks. Yeah, which I think is a really smart move. I think that's maybe they're shifting towards more. I think we had this conversation a while back. It's like kind of wanting to shift towards more digital sales, and we're kind of seeing that as well because there's rumors apparently like some of these Switch titles for Switch 2 might be cheaper digitally compared to their physical counterpart. But once we need to get more confirmation on that for the prices because it's kind of all over the place at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of their compromise, right, on offering a family share like service that Steam offers, but then obviously Nintendo-fying it because there has to be some form of limitation in everything that they do. So, nothing that I ever thought that they would ever offer. I never thought that Nintendo would ever do something like this. So, cool. I'm glad to see that they're kind of embracing more and more just general, basic online functionalities that are available on other platforms.
And we had mentioned this, but they brought back download play. I'm not sure if you guys remember that from like the DS era.
You mean share play?
No, download play. So like, let's say if on I think the 3DS had to do it. Like, let's say if I had the copy of Mario Kart, and then you didn't, but you just had a 3DS or a DS, I can share the game, and we can all play with one copy, basically on each of our devices.
I heard that that's actually a streaming thing now, but I could be mistaken. I would have to confirm that.
Okay.
But
so the highlight of that direct was that we got to see Metroid Prime and Pokemon Legends. I say highlight for us because there was an announcement for Rhythm Heaven and Tomodachi Life, which I didn't know there was such an insane community for those games. People just
I've always heard of Tomodachi Life. I always knew that there was like a big sort of cult following for it. I didn't realize that the community was this large. Rhythm Heaven, I'm actually excited for. I played it a little bit on I think 3DS, and it is very fun.
Yeah.
So to have a version of that come out on the Switch, cool. I think what I'm most excited for is the Marvel beat 'em up,
the Cosmic Invasion.
Cosmic Invasion. Yeah. I mean Dotemu, so immediately I'm on board. And the fact that like a lot of the models are very similar to the MVC2 models, along with the moves and just the way that the sprites look and stuff, and just it's such it's harkens back to the old days for me on games like War of the Gems or Maximum Carnage, where it's a Marvel beat 'em up, man. Like it's such a fucking no-brainer of an idea that I'm surprised it's taken this long for something like this to come to fruition.
I'm glad that Nintendo does it because like they had also released what was that beat 'em up Marvel game?
Avengers?
Was it Avengers? It was like another. I'll look it up while we're talking. But yeah, so it's kind of nice to see some of these.
Oh, you mean Ultimate Alliance?
Ultimate Alliance. There you go. It's kind of nice to see these Marvel IPs get some light.
The third one on Switch wasn't that great. I'm just very excited for this one because it's a 2D pixel-based side-scrolling beat 'em up, which is just do this with everything. Every property out there, you can make a good game guaranteed if you just give it to Dotemu and you just give them whatever IP you want. You can give them a porno and tell them to make a 2D fucking sprite-based beat 'em up, and they will do a fantastic job.
So what we're learning is Taz wants to beat it to some sprites.
Yes, moving on now.
Yeah. I was skeptical about the Pokemon game. It's just didn't seem like it was going to run well. But then today's Direct, I know I'm getting it on the Switch 2 now. I'm not even going to bother playing it on the Switch 1. The fact that it's the first Pokemon game that's going to run at 60 FPS since the 3DS game.
A long time coming.
Yeah. Was there anything else you guys wanted to mention about this direct, or?
Not really, man. Everything gets overshadowed by today's direct, I think.
Yeah.
I know that. I mean, this was probably after the direct, but they did launch the Nintendo Today app on iOS and Android, and they made an announcement on the Nintendo Today app, right? It's on the Nintendo Today app that they actually announced that there was a Legend of Zelda movie coming out.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean,
I
they
know
had
that
I
confirmed
have
that they
enough
were
apps
working
in
on
my
it,
life.
but now we have a confirmed release window. It's
Dates.
going to be 2027.
Yeah, so you guys excited about that? A live action?
It's honestly not something I really think about. I think I'm
Is Chris
more
Pratt playing Zelda?
I'm less excited. I'm more curious as to how they're gonna go about, because there were also sort of stories that this is supposed to be a trilogy, which, maybe focus on making one good movie first, and then after that maybe think about it.
There's
Um,
a lot of mixed
with
feelings about this movie.
Well, that's it. And my biggest thing that I want to know is, how are you guys gonna handle Link? Because he's always been a silent protagonist. So is he gonna talk?
Of course he's
Or,
gonna talk.
well, I don't know. Maybe Nintendo wants to maintain the integrity, right? I mean, it's Nintendo after all. Like, you can't. It's hard to assume what they're gonna do, because they're
Yeah,
always,
but if you look at the
finding some way to
Mario,
surprise you.
if you look at the Mario movie, it's like it's not like Mario, gave us like dissertations and beautiful proses either, like in the games, like but Chris Pratt just kind of played, I guess, some guy, and he had like full on lines. So
I think this movie could
I
have
feel that
worked
we
so
can.
much better if it was animated.
I think so too, because like, look, I have no idea who's gonna play Link. I even thought about it, and I could not even think about a single actor that I think could play Link. But for Zelda and for Ganondorf, like for Ganondorf, by the way, there's no one else but Idris Elba. I think like Idris Elba like would actually work so well for Ganondorf because like he's got the voice. I think
There's
that like
so
might
many
be
people
pretty
that
I
have the
cool.
don't
voice.
see it. I don't see it.
I could see it. I could see it. Him,
I
Lawrence
will.
Fishburne. I don't know, man. Like I think that Idris Elba would be an amazing Ganondorf. I would love to see that.
You know what?
And
No. You know who I want to see for
oh,
Ganondorf?
okay.
If we're looking at, if we're casting people now, Ralph Ineson, who I'm guessing you guys probably don't know who he is. Most recently,
Oh
he was
yeah,
in
he was.
Nosferatu. He's actually, I'm pretty sure he's the voice of Galactus in Final Fantasy, the Fantastic Four movie coming out. He
Okay.
played Sid in FF16. He's got just such an amazing voice to him, with like such fucking gravitas, that like I think he would do a fantastic job. Now, ideally, you would just cast a bunch of unknowns and people that we've never heard of, because I think that is honestly your best bet for a movie like this.
I
So
mean,
just
the
cast
only
people
the
that
That's
only
not
look the
gonna
Ganon,
part.
happen.
I agree. Have new cast, but the only character I could think about to play Brolin, sorry, I said it, Josh Brolin to play Ganondorf, because just the way he portrayed
Thanos.
Thanos. Yeah.
What about Dave Bautista, Taz?
Oh, hell yeah, yeah. He'd make a perfect Link.
So what worries me about this movie
As
is
Ganondorf, man.
Honestly,
just
dude,
a
if
really
they
buffed
cast,
up Link.
there's a lot of jokes online about this, but it's like, if they
Yeah.
cast Timothy Chalamet as Link,
Oh my god, dude.
immediate out. Nothing against him, but again, I don't want someone super famous and recognizable in that role. Like, just give me some unknowns,
What about
man.
Tom Holland as?
Even
No.
more out faster than I could possibly be out for Timothy Chalamet.
Okay.
Buddy.
So the movie's produced by Miyamoto and Avi Arad, and I'm not sure if you guys know some of the movies he's produced. So he's worked on a lot of superhero movies, especially early Marvel Studio movies.
He's
But
worked on Morbius and
he's worked-
Venom.
Yep, Borderlands, Craven.
This guy. This movie is gonna be great.
Oh man, it's Morbin time, boys.
Yeah. That's kind of. I mean, that's not a great list of movies, but
But at least the screenplay, I'm kind of more behind the person who's assigned to it, Derek Connolly, who's worked on the Detective Pikachu movie. He's worked on the Jurassic Park movies. He's also working on the GI Joe / Transformer kind of crossover.
Who is Nintendo gonna cast for Zelda, and why is it Anya Taylor-Joy?
I was gonna say that it's probably gonna be someone like her because she
She
has a
literally,
unique look to her.
this girl literally looks like an elf. Like it's.
I could see her right as Zelda.
I don't want
you
it.
know?
I don't
She's
want
got
her
the
as.
look.
I
And again,
think
nothing against any of these actors. I
Yeah.
just don't want people. I don't want recognizable faces necessarily.
a
You know what I
fresh
mean? Like,
cast would be great, but it's also kind of dangerous too at the same time.
Yeah, I think so too.
yeah, but it's only dangerous if the cast sucks in terms of acting ability. But
Right.
for a movie like Zelda, you don't need star power. You know
You
what I
know
mean?
what?
Like it's people are gonna go watch this because it's a Legend of Zelda movie, not because fucking Chris Pratt is playing Link. Like no one's gonna go watch it because of that. Yeah, maybe some small fan base that's desperate about, some particular actor, but I mean, let's face it, Manny, are you gonna not go watch it if any particular actor gets cast? Or are you gonna go watch it because any particular actor gets cast?
No,
Or are you just gonna go watch it because it's a Zelda movie?
because it's a Zelda movie.
Then there you go. They don't need star power.
If they could make a movie based off of any Zelda game, which game do you guys think would be a good idea for a first screenplay? Or first movies rather. Or actually what game could work well in a trilogy?
I mean, probably Ocarina of Time, right? I think it's sort of the logical choice to me.
You could have like the first movie being young Link, then second movie being adult Link, and then third movie whatever.
Or, just make one movie and then go from there. But yeah, sure.
What about you, Jazz? With your limited knowledge of Zelda games?
What do you want to know?
Which game
It's
do you
gonna be
think would
like,
work well in a trilogy setting for Legend of Zelda?
Oh my
Spirit Tracks.
god.
Spirit Tracks.
Ocarina of Time.
Was that just your
Steal
cop-out
my
answer?
you fucking thief.
No, I think okay, you know what? Fine. Majora's Mask. Because I always thought the Majora's Mask was the better game anyways.
Oh man, people would be lost if that was like the trilogy.
Well, that's why it's a trilogy. It's gonna take them 3 movies to understand and tell a great story. It's exactly.
Oh,
But look,
man.
I'm looking forward to it. Like, look, it could be an absolute shit show, or maybe
Is
Nintendo's
Midna
gonna give it some love and care.
is Midna supposed to be a male or a female character?
Female character.
Yeah. So I guess Danny DeVito's out.
I thought he was so serious too. I was like,
Yeah,
huh?
seriously. Well, you know what? On that note, thanks for watching today's episode of Not Quite High Score.
Keep an eye on our socials. We have a Blue Sky account now, so please go ahead and keep an eye on that, and we'll be posting the date for the NQHS Direct, where we will reveal whether Deep's girlfriend / brother are in fact the same person or not. Please be excited.
Send us an email, notquitehigh@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.
I was gonna say, and someone check on that email inbox, please, because that's the world's loneliest inbox.
I'm surprised Google just doesn't has a setting that rolls in a desert.
Tumbleweed?
Yeah, I'm surprised they don't just have a tumbleweed for us whenever we log into that account.
Guys, look, seriously, just send us an email, please. It doesn't even have to be a question. Forward us your spam. Just send us. Just send us.
Some Nigerian prince is like,
just sign us up for some newsletters,